Okay, hey guys. I'm a little nervous. Okay, we're going to be making this. Okay. So first you want to start out with a new document. The size is 540 pixels by 345 pixels. Then next you want to add the image, and I'm using this one. So then you just drag it and then resize it. Okay, next you want to smart sharpen it. So you go filter, sharpen, smart sharpen, and then the amount is 100 and the radius is 0.3. Now attach a gradient, so you would go to your adjustments panel and then do a gradient map. And so change the colors to C4, C4, C4. And E4, E4, E4. And you can apply that with a clipping mask. You would right click it and then click create clipping mask. Next you want to add another layer, and you're going to draw a gradient, so you would go to the side and click gradient tool, and we're going to change this. By using E4 again. And then we're going to change this center location, but we want to fade it. And then while holding shift, you're allowed to draw directly in the center. And then next you want to set the opacity to 90%. Now you want to add an exposure adjustment layer. So you would click this one and then change the gamma correction to 0.55. Next, add a selective color adjustment layer and change the white with black set to -100. Next, add a curves adjustment layer with an input, so you can draw it like that. And then the input is going to be 109 and an output of 119. Then make another dot and change the input to 176 and output to 189. One second. And then I think set it, the first layer, to 20%. I think I made this background black or something. I have to look at the original. Give me a second. Okay, that looks better. Okay. Next, you want to add an exposure layer again, but we're going to attach it to this gradient layer that we have here. I'm going to set that to 0.55. Okay, now we're going to add the text layer that was at the top. So you go to this icon, the T icon, and then make sure you draw a box so it's easier to resize it since we want it perfectly aligned in the center. So just use, to extend it to where it fits fully. And then we're going to use Futura STD in bold. I'm going to change the font size to 4. And we're going to set the layer to smooth. So I'm going to type in part 3. And next you want to have this part all the way at the top. And then change the baseline shift to -21 pixels. So that's this thing here. And next you want to change the kerning, like the space between the letters. You want to change it to 515. Oh, and unselect this faux bold. Now we're going to do the outline of that text layer. So zoom in and then you can use the rectangle marquee tool, and while holding shift, but first, hold on, draw a rectangle of 54 by 12. Yeah. And then fill it in with black. And place it underneath. And now set it to the opacity to 8%. Now we're going to draw the white outline. So just use this box as a guide and just do a 1 pixel around for the perimeter. And then fill it in with the paint bucket tool with white. Set the layer to 40% and then just erase the outer part of the previous rectangle. Just draw a selection around it. To make multiple selections within the same thing, hold shift after you've made the first one and then just delete. And then add a 42 by 1 rectangle on either side. Make sure you've made another layer. And then you could just erase that part and then fade it to 40%. Okay, make another text layer. And we're going to use Gotham Black in regular. And the size is going to be 9. And we're going to set this one to crisp. And then change the kerning to 520, and then specifically change this part in between the B and the quotation, change it to -370, and just click on the other side and it'll automatically do it. And then on the same layer, we're going to do the next line of text. And then we're going to change the font to 6 pixels. Forgot I had the thing on the wrong number. Then change the kerning for this text to 700. And now just duplicate that layer and then highlight the text and then change the color to black, and then set the opacity to 20% and then drag it behind that first layer. And now you want to nudge the layer, and you could do that with your arrow keys. So you'd go down 1 pixel and then left 1 pixel. Okay, now we're gonna do the little panels with the images. So make a new layer and then draw with the rectangle marquee tool a rectangle of 152 by 201. And then you can fill it in with whatever color you want, because it's just going to be a marker for when we're adding the image. We're going to apply it as a clipping mask. So I'm just going to fill it in with black. And then next you want to duplicate this layer. Oh, wait, first let's change duplicate this layer, then go into show transform controls, and then change this one by holding, just change the height to 184, because the center one is a little bit smaller than the other two on either side. And then you want to go into edit, transform, perspective, and then we're going to change this part here to the horizontal skew to -13. And then hit apply. Now we're going to drag it all the way down to this background layer, so then we could select both of them and then click this button at the top here so it aligns it in the center. And now make sure that the layer is 53 pixels from the bottom. So you could just draw a selection and just nudge it with the arrow keys until it's that. And now we're going to do the same with the other two sides. So we have to change the perspective, go edit transform perspective, and then change the horizontal skew to 13 again. And then click apply. And then just duplicate that layer. Oh, and a tip, to where it has those purple lines to show you where it meets up with other layers, you go into View Extras, so make sure you have that selected. So then it makes it easier. And then make sure it's around 5 to 6 pixels from the end of the document. So just playing around with the arrow keys. You just nudge it until it fits. Oops, selected the wrong layer. I feel like I messed this up. Did I draw it with 154? Oh, hey Kelsey. I think I drew it with the wrong size, because there's supposed to be a space in between each panel. So I think I did it wrong. So I'm just going to delete those layers and do it again. Oh, did I change the height? There we go. Height 184. And then do transform perspective. And then center it by dragging it down and hitting this button. Photoshop CC isn't that much different from the regular Photoshop CS6. It's just I didn't, because I purchased it, CS6, but I just haven't transferred it over to this computer. So I'm just using CC for now. I have the regular file open on my laptop on the side, so I'm trying to figure out, because I did type this up and I did make it yesterday again, so there wouldn't be any mistakes, but I think I messed up. I'm trying to figure out, because I feel like it's not putting the same exact spacing between the 3 layers. So I think one of them, the 2 on the side, they're smaller. I'm trying to figure that out. No, it says 152, so. Oh, did I make this document the wrong size? That's what I did. Psst, stupid me. I put it 500 instead of 540. Okay. And then, yeah, you could just fix the gradient with transform tools. You don't have to do it over again. Okay, and for this one, the 2 on the left, you want to make sure it's 48 pixels from the bottom. Oops. Should be 40. Okay, we're just gonna leave it with 37. Or maybe did I? God, I keep messing up. 345, okay. Okay, and then duplicate it and just drag it to the other side. I usually like tweak it a lot just with the arrow keys, so selecting all the layers, so then you can just play around with the placement of it. I think the spacing in between was bigger, so Okay, that's good. Now this is the time to get the screen caps from whichever video you want to use. So I already have mine done. Let me open it. Okay. Now you just want to drag it onto the document and then apply it as a clipping mask. Oh, wait, that's the centered one. And then just use show transform controls and then hold shift, make sure you hold shift, so then it remains the same size when you're dragging it, so it doesn't like contort it to a weird size. And then for this one and the middle one, we want to leave it with space. For this one, we want to leave space at the top. So for the panel of text that's going to be above it. So like around here should be good. And then since it's on a clipping mask, you don't have to worry about deleting around it. You know, it's going to keep it on that layer itself. Oh, my go-to fonts, I don't know, I usually have a lot of fonts here, but I really love DIN alternate. That one I use a lot for the tayswift.com banners that I make for their Twitter. I really love Futura STD. I usually just download tons of fonts from dafont.com, so I have a long list of fonts. Yeah, I think those and what else? Oh, I forgot to link where to get these fonts. The fonts for this graphic itself. I have them here. Okay, for this one here. Probably should have done this in the beginning. Ever since my computer crashed a long time ago, technically I lost everything, so I didn't have all of the fonts saved on my other computer, so I had to search around the internet to find them again. So yeah, that's why I have those different links. Okay, now for the coloring part. I actually don't remember the exact coloring I used for the original, but I just played around with adjustment layers and attached it as a clipping mask to this part. So the ones I used, because when I redid it yesterday. 1 second. It was a white selective layer with 32, then it was a black of, I think, 3. And then a curves layer. We're going to draw 2 dots. So the first one is First one is 143. The output is 152. And then draw another dot and then change the input to 210 and the output to 218. And then a brightness contrast layer. Change the brightness to 15 and contrast to 10. And an exposure layer. So change this top part to 22 and this part to 95. And then another curves layer. Change the input to 96 and output to 140. Draw another dot and then change input to 163 and output to 205. And then one last dot and then change the input to 211 and output to 232. Okay, now sharpen the layer because it looked kind of blurry. So sharpen it, I think it was 100. So make sure you select it, then filter, sharpen, smart sharpen. And then click OK. Or it might have been 75. I'm on a Mac, so to undo, Command Option Z, or you could just go Edit, Undo. Yeah, I think it was 75. Yeah, it looks better. Okay, now we want to add another layer to a clipping mask. And then, I should have done this first. Just unselect the adjustment layers you made, and then we're gonna make another gradient, but this time, delete those, and then we're gonna change the opacity for 0 here. And then I usually just use the eyedropper tool to select one of the colors at the top. So we'll just use this one, and then just copy that. So then it fades out, and then while holding Shift, but you could just like play around with this until it's, it erases the back part, this black here. So just hold Shift. And then, put this underneath. Oh wait, no, this goes above. Never mind. Okay, and now repeat the process of adding your image to the other two, I like to call them markers, for these black sections here. So add your other two images. And then for this coloring, I did another curves layer. input as 137 and output as 175. And then another dot. And change the input to 200 and output to 236. And then a selective layer. Oops, that's black and white. Selective layer with black of 8. And then change the white to -27. And then add a brightness layer. Change it to 9 and then contrast to 5. And then just a standard black and white to a clipping mask. And then to do the sharpening without you having to go filter, sharpen, smart sharpen, you could just repeat the same command. Oh wait. They changed the controls, so I'm used to just hitting Command F, so now they added the dumb little arrow. But yeah, it would usually be that. I have to change it. And for the last one. And then this one, I was actually selective layer first. The white is -53 and black is set to 8. Then a brightness layer of 11 and then contrast to 13. And then another curves layer. Oops. Of 75 and output to 88 and then another dot with an output, an input of 150 and output to 156. And then another curves layer. Input is 135 and then output is 149. And then sharpen the layer. Okay, any questions so far? Oh, maybe I should explain. If you don't know how to make screen caps of a video, the way I do it, you go to File, Import Video Frames to Layers, and then you would select your video of whichever one you want. But you have to download it first. Okay, now we're gonna make the text panels. Okay, draw a box with the rectangle marquee tool with 150 by 55, and then fill it with white. And then change the perspective again, so edit, transform perspective, and change the horizontal skew to the same number, 13. And then this one, the placement was 14 from the top here. So just move it up. And then it's around 10 for this side, so right there. And then you could duplicate the part 3 text because it's the same font, but we're just going to change the font size. So just duplicate it. And then drag it all the way to the top. I'm going to change the font size to 3.5. We got to change the color to when you're applying black text over a white background, it's better to use not a pure black, but like a little bit softer. So I use either 333 or you can use 222. And then just reposition it. And then change the baseline shift to 11. Yeah, 11, negative low 11. And then change this part 21. Okay, and change the text. And just move this up, so if you're clicking the other layer we're going to make, it doesn't conflict. And then you just draw another box. And then this font is the Gotham Bold font. So let me just type out the text first. Oh, I have this. Change, unclick this, so then it doesn't have that weird part where it puts the two characters together. And then change this to 175. And then change the leading, so this part here, change it to 9.5. And then make sure it's centered. You just like play around with it until you think it's right. And then change the color to A9, A8, A8. just gonna nudge it. And then there's like a little fold behind this part here. It's gonna go right here. So make another layer, and then you want to use this tool, this tool here, and then just draw a little triangle, but hold shift so it makes it a perfect angle. And then fill that in with, I believe it's just pure black. And then set it, fill it in. Set it behind, wait 1 second. Okay, another tip. Since we're using a lot of layers, it's good to make groups of them, so you know it's easier to know what's for what, and you don't have to scroll through everything. So you would hold shift, make sure all the layers that you want in a group are selected, and then click this little icon, create a new group. And then you can do that with all of the layers that you want in a group. So I'm going to label this one screen cap 3, screen cap 2, and screen cap 1, and then screen cap text 1. And then you could color code it so it's easier. And then this part, the fold, you want to go underneath this layer and then set it to overlay. And then duplicate the text panel, this whole part, and duplicate it, because it's going to be the same for the other two, but we're just going to change the placement of the one in the middle. And this one you want it to be 24 pixels from the bottom. And then 10 pixels from the side, I believe. And then change the text. Oh, hey Judo. Oh, the purple lines, I don't think it's a CC only thing. You go into view extras and it'll pop up. I think it's available for all Photoshops. And yeah, that's my dog. Okay, and then you change the text. I'm gonna change the leading here so it all fits to 6. You could just nudge it to where it looks evenly spaced. Rename this and then duplicate it. and then have it meet up. There. It should be in the right side. Oh wait, it's actually the other side. My bad. And then this is the part where you can just like select all the layers and nudge it over. I wasn't exact with the placement of all of them. So now it should be 10. Oh, and then let's add the other two folds. So use this tool again, and then hold Shift. And fill it in with black. Set it to overlay. And then just change the text for the last part. And then you're finished. Oh wait, I forgot to add the last fold. And then you would be finished. Okay, any questions? So that's how it's done. I really haven't planned out the rest of this stream because there's like an hour left. Yeah, I don't know what else to do. I kind of want to do this weekly though, like a tutorial kind of thing. So every Wednesday. And you could go through, I'm going to put a link to all of my graphics that I've made